In today's video, we are going to see what is a class in TypeScript. Let's go. I'm going to create a file called employee.ts. Class space employee, open and close curly braces, inside which I'm going to give the properties. Okay, ID, which is going to be a number, first name, which I would expect it to be a string, last name, which is again going to be a string, age, again it's going to be a number, right? So we have created a class. Okay, so we have a class, and what is the purpose of a class? A class should be used anywhere else, right? So we are going to export this class. So if you remember, if you use a keyword export, then the normal script file becomes a module. Okay, I'm going to create another file. myApp.ts, and here I'm going to import the class created. Right? I'm simply saying import, open curly braces, class name, close curly braces, and then from keyword, and then I'm mentioning the relative path where that particular TS file is present. Okay? Since the class employee is in the same level, we are going to give it as / and then employee. Right? So employee is a file name. So now we will instantiate the class. Let space object name equal to new class name. Right? The property of the classes can be accessed by object name dot property name. John. Era class name. Open. E dot ID equal to 1. Right? So this is how you access the property of the class. Right? A class should always have a constructor. Right? A class without a constructor is not useful, right? Because you have to instantiate the class, so then only we can use the class. Right? So here I'm going to declare a function. Okay? So public, we will come to what this public and all. Okay? We have to say display employee information. Okay? So this function is going to display the employee information. Okay? So when constructing the class, what we have to do? We have to pass the required arguments. Right? So first is ID. Let it be of number type. Next is first name. So this will be a string. Last name. Again, this will be a string. Age. This will be a number. Right? So whenever the class is instantiated, I would expect these parameters to be passed. Okay, here I say this dot id equal to id, which is coming in the argument of the constructor. This dot first name right equal to first name. This dot last name equal to last name. This dot age equal to age. So we have to be very careful with the casing. Okay. So whenever this class is instantiated, I would expect these arguments to be passed. Right. So what is this method is going to do? This method is going to simply say console.log hello, my name is so we can use the symbol under the tilde. Alright, my name is this dot first name space dollar this dot last name, right? My ID is dollar this dot ID. My age is this dot age, right? In my app.ts, whenever I instantiate the class, I should pass these arguments. So what is that? First is ID 1, right? Next is first name John. Next is last name Owen. Right. Next is what's next? Next is age, right? Age I can pass it as 32. Okay? And then I say e dot display employee information. So right. So what should be the output? I would expect the output to be my name is John Owen, my ID is 1, my age is 32. Right, let me go to the terminal. Then compile my app.ts. So it will generate me two JavaScript files, employee.js and myapp.js. I have to say node space my app. So what is the output? Hello, my name is John Owen, my ID is 1, my age is 32. So we have created a class with some properties, ID, first name, last name, age, and then a method, right? Display employee information, and then a constructor. What is a constructor? Constructor is called whenever a class is instantiated. So here we are importing the class and instantiating the class and passing the acquired parameters, right? And then we are calling the method. Okay? we can also extend the class into another class. Let me create a class called employee salary. I'm going to use the keyword extends employee, which is the existing class. For the base class employee, we are creating a subclass called employee salary. That's it, right? Which means we are going to extend all the properties present in the employee into employee salary. So in the constructor, we are saying ID, first name, last name, age. And then we are saying super of employee. So which means whenever the derived class is instantiated, we are automatically calling the constructor of the base class employee. So that is what this super is going to do, right? So in the derived class employee salary, I'm going to create a method called greet, which is simply going to log into the console, congrats on getting salary. Right? So here I'm going to change the instance E to be instantiated from the derived class rather than the base class, right? And here I'm going to say E dot greet, right? So in the terminal window, I'm going to say tse space my app dot ts node space my app. So what is saying? It is saying, hello, my name is John Owen, my ID is 1, my age is 32. Congrats on getting first salary, right? So first the display employee information of the base method is getting called. Okay, however the instance is the instance E is of employee salary class, right, which is of derived class. But once I call the display method employee information, it is already inherited from the base class employee, right? So this is how our basic inheritance works. Okay. Now let me go to the employee.ts and change this display information into a private, right? Then I'm getting a problem. So what it is saying, the property display information is private and only accessible within the class employee, right? So you cannot access that method outside that particular class, right? That is a private. Whenever you declare a property as private, what does it mean? it cannot be accessed outside that block of code where it is declared or defined. Right? Why I was able to access it before? It was declared as public. If you declare a property as public, the scope is unlimited. It can be accessed, the property can be accessed from anywhere else. It can be a property or it can be a method or whatever. Once it is declared as a public, it can be accessed from anywhere. The lifetime is globally available. Right? What if I say it as a protected? Right? Again I am getting an error. See, it is a protected one. It cannot be accessed outside the class where it is declared. It can be accessed only in the derived classes. So what should I do? I should simply copy this method and paste it here. Right? Now I will not get any error at all. Right? Correct? Simply have to say this dot employee information. This dot display employee information. Right? Now the error is gone. Right? So whenever you declare a method as a protected, it can be accessed only in the derived classes. Right? Not outside the derived classes. So let me go to the terminal window. Compile my app. When I run the application, same output I am getting. Right? So that is to explain you the access modifier. Right? There are 3 types of access modifiers: private, public and protected. Whenever a property or method is declared as private, the scope is very limited. That property can be accessed only within the block of code where it has been declared. Right? If it is protected, that can be accessed wherever it is declared and in the derived types. Right? Whenever it is a public, the scope is unlimited. It can be accessed from anywhere else. Right? Today we saw what is a class, how to extend a class, and what are the 3 types of access modifiers.